You thought just because I made one funny video we were done with the ultra nerdy stuff? Think again.
No!
Sorry. Sorry. I'm bawling. Not
Kobe!
bawling. I'm bawling over the loss of one of the greatest ballers the world has ever seen. Kobe Bean Bryant. Famous were in two numbers. 8 and 24. Episode 24. Daily Nourishment. Today, I'm going to give you another great concept that's going to blow your mind. This is a concept I'm stealing from a pixel artist who I saw. I'm not going to give him credit either, because I'm a thief. Just kidding. This idea is his idea of doing a portrait of a character every year so he can track his improvement. And I thought, great, why don't we do it with cooking? Or why don't we do it with anything else? So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas of how you could take his idea and apply it to cooking and how you could apply it to other factors of life. So his idea was every year he drew a pixel art character of Luke Skywalker. And my adaptation to cooking is going to be that you're going to pick a challenging recipe every year and you are going to try and make it. The reason this is the challenge is because if you pick the same recipe every year, you're going to get better regardless of your cooking ability. If you cook a recipe today and you do it again tomorrow, you're going to see big improvement already just because you've made it again. So I don't think doing the same recipe is really fair. And you could argue after a year, you've forgotten a lot of the insights you've made. But I think the whole point is you want to know those insights. So you might as well take notes while you're doing it. You might as well reflect on how the food you cooked was. That way you can actually get more out of it. So I think a better way to do it is to do a new dish every year, because that way you improve on the main factor that you're going to improve, which is your finesse. I think finesse is the most underrated skill in cooking, because finesse is what separates a chef following a recipe and you and me following a recipe. Well, I don't know. I'd say I'm more on the chef side than you. I think that's what separates chefs from normal cooks, because they have more finesse to be able to pull off the execution. Let's say it's talking about a dish where you want to paint the outside of a coconut shell and you're trying to emulate that texture. A chef's finesse would mean that they're able to more accurately emulate that texture on the first time rather than a cook. So that's why I think that's one way to do it in cooking. I think another way would be to pick a really challenging recipe where even the first and second time you do it, it's still really hard regardless of the amount of times you've done it. That would also be really rewarding. The best example of this I can think of is a beef Wellington. Beef Wellington, the first time you make it is tough. And a beef Wellington is not a make it and then you got it. I'm speaking from experience here. The first beef Wellington I made, terrible. The second one, terrible. Third one was pretty good. But that also came after years in between where I just myself have become a better cook. And I think that's why beef Wellington is another great canvas. So what's another field this can apply to? I think just like he did, you could apply this to a lot of arts. I think you could apply this to writing really well. I think you could take a prompt and restrict yourself with a certain number of words. You could try and write something. So you could try and write about a certain event, or you could write about a song every year, or you could write about a person every year. You could pick the same person. You could pick a different person every year, but I think it's more powerful if you pick the same person. Let's say you wanted to write a day from the perspective of Michelle Obama, and you wrote that piece every year. Not knowing Michelle Obama better year over year, but you'd be better able to articulate how you feel, how the environment is around you. You maybe incorporate elements of magical realism as you learn them throughout the year. You maybe incorporate something like verbatim in your writing. Lots of things you can incorporate here. I think another great way of doing this would be to do a practical project every year that you can display. So if you do something like woodworking, a great project would again to be picking something and doing it year over year. So maybe doing a spoon year over year and then experimenting with different types of wood, or trying to see if you can use one tool that usually does not have the same level of finesse as something else, but then still being able to pull it off. So for example, carving a whole spoon with a really coarse rasp, because when you have finer rasps, you're able to get more precision. But by using a coarse rasp and having that finesse that you do by having done this craft for many years, you can better offshore your skills. These are just a couple of examples, but I'm sure you can think of any way you can incorporate this into the field you do. It just comes down to doing it year over year, because that way you can track your progress. This isn't a way of actually progressing. Actually progressing is doing the thing day to day, is doing it week to week, month to month, year to year. This is just a cool way for you to be able to see your progress year on year. That way you make sure you're not stagnating. And sometimes year on year, it's not going to be vertical movement. It might be horizontal movement. Some years it might even be a step down because movement isn't just a constant journey up. It's a journey of ups and downs. But the whole idea is you're able to track your own journey because it's unique to you. I think with creative disciplines, you're able to pick your own way of learning. I think this is a great way to document that learning journey that you've gone through. Let me know how you're going to apply this to your discipline of choice. Who knows? Maybe you're going to grow a carrot every year, grow your carrot somewhat differently. I feel like carrots have become my signature thing. Anyway, I'll see you tomorrow for a quarter of 100 episodes, the 25th